This is completely insane. After the New York Jets' recent trade moves, fans are asking for one thing, and there's an ESPN insider, the number one guy, who's actually talking about it as well, and we got to break it down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Football 365. If you're a New York Jet fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But getting into the news for today, coming from Adam Schefter himself, he said, well, here's what I'd have to say to you right now. You have the New York Jets sitting here with 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years with the capability to do whatever they want at the quarterback position. Coming from Heavy Sports, they wrote, Adam Schefter bringing up this possibility isn't like some random account on X recklessly speculating about transactions their favorite team could make. This is a universally known NFL reporter who is very in the know, floating what would be one of the biggest blockbuster trades in sports history. So, the New York Jets just traded Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams away to other teams and brought back 3 first-round picks. We have our 2 first-round picks, which makes 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years, and all Jet fans are asking, what do we do with these picks? Now, we got to figure out the quarterback situation, and everyone is thinking we never get it right in the draft. So, insiders and analysts on TV, the real deal guys, are going, the New York Jets should be thinking about picking up a veteran quarterback option. But then the veteran quarterback option that everyone is talking about is Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow, highly likely that he is not available at all. But if we look at the way that the Cincinnati Bengals have built their team, they have no idea what they're doing. They have built a team that can't compete for anything, even when Joe Burrow is healthy. Last season, Joe Burrow rewrote the Cincinnati Bengals history books, had maybe the best quarterback season we've seen in the past couple years, and they didn't even make the playoffs. The Cincinnati Bengals had the 31st ranked defense in 2024, and now in 2025, they have the 32nd ranked defense. They have no idea how to build an actual team. They have Joe Burrow getting paid a ton of money, and then they have 2 wide receivers being paid a ton of money, but they didn't pay the offensive line, and they didn't draft the offensive line, so Joe Burrow is never healthy on that team. Now, if Joe Burrow was traded to the New York Knicks, he would be protected behind 2 first-round picks at the offensive tackles position, a decent interior offensive line in front of him, and he would still have one good weapon in Garrett Wilson to throw the football to. The number one thing for Joe Burrow is when we look at his stats, he plays pretty much every other year because every other year he gets injured. This season, so far, he's expected to be back in mid-December, but so far, he only has 189 yards passing on the season and 2 touchdowns, which is really, really sad if you're someone like me who drafted a ton of Joe Burrow in fantasy football this year. But then in 2024, we can see those numbers, almost 5,000 yards passing. 43 touchdowns to 9 interceptions is crazy. Those are MVP level numbers. And then the 2 years before that, they went to the Super Bowl and he had 4,475 yards passing. I mean, Joe Burrow he's an absolutely amazing quarterback. And if you're a team that seems to not be able to hit on quarterbacks in the draft, you need to figure out and get creative about how you're going to find your quarterback. The question is, do the Bengals take 5 first-round picks for Joe Burrow? You have to imagine they will, because one of those picks is going to be this year, most likely a top 3 pick in the draft. And then you just more picks on top of that. One of the picks being a conditional, whether it's the hire of either the Packers or the Cowboys. That is a monster offer that makes a Joe Burrow trade actually something that people can talk about. It's not just, like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, where you're like, obviously you never pick up the phone ever. And Joe Burrow really should be a player like that, where you never pick up the phone. But when a team is offering this kind of return, which is just an absolute fantasy fairy tale return, you got to at least listen. And this would be an absolutely insane trade for the New York Jets to pursue. I mean, we know Woody Johnson likes to make a big splash in the trade market and in social media. And this would be, of course, one of the biggest splashes of all time, one of the biggest splashes ever possible. But we know Aaron Glenn doesn't like to make a big splash like that, but you have to imagine Aaron Glenn is going to sit there and go, you know what? That's the guy I can work with. That's a guy that we are going to be able to build the rest of our team around, because we already have the offensive line set up. We have Garrett Wilson. We have Mason Taylor. When you have a quarterback that's as good as Joe Burrow, you don't need T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You can have just one of them and make sure he's protected, and Joe Burrow would take the New York Jets to a Super Bowl. Aaron Glenn, he may not be a defensive head coach. He wants to be a game manager right down the middle. He wants to let the defensive coordinator handle the defense. But Aaron Glenn could handle the defense. You're telling me we get a offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, from the Detroit Lions, one of the best offenses in the National Football League, and then we hand him Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League? You're telling me he is not going to be able to put together an elite offense with those pieces? I think he absolutely will. Now, the question is, I know it feels like a very New York Jets move that every single time they trade for the guy who used to be really, really good, or he played really, really well somewhere else. Then he gets to the Jets and he doesn't play very well, because a lot of the times we hand out those huge contracts and they make the money and then they don't really care anymore. But Joe Burrow, he's already making a ton of money with the Cincinnati Bengals and hasn't quit. So we're not worried about that. And also, he is, without a question, still even probably entering his prime. Like, forget about in his prime. Joe Burrow could continue getting better when he gets to the New York Jets, and he could be the number one quarterback in all of football. This is a move that puts the Jets on the map for the Super Bowl instantly. You just got to hope that the Cincinnati Bengals are listening at all. I mean, if you're the Bengals, if I'm the Bengals, I'm not trading Joe Burrow, but if I'm the Bengals, I'm also never paying Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, because I don't know where they thought the money was coming from to pay a defense. They have zero defense. They have zero offensive line, and they question themselves why Joe Burrow is hurt every single season. They make the same mistakes over and over and over again. They routinely just mess around with guys' contracts. I don't know why Trey Hendrickson was sitting out the whole year. I mean, you have to imagine, you have to imagine Joe Burrow is fed up with the ownership, because Joe Burrow has to be the one to come out and tell the ownership what they need to do. He told them, pay T. Higgins, told them to pay Jamar Chase, and they finally did it. But that ownership is super stingy. But I don't know if I can say that, because the New York Jets ownership might be just as bad / worse. The Woody Johnson, we know he's been staying out of Aaron Glenn's way, which he said he was going to do, and he's been proving that so far. But I mean, the comments like the Justin Fields comments that we saw last week from Woody Johnson, the comments that we have gotten to know him for. Woody Johnson, there's a reason why he is universally seen as a bottom 5 owner in probably all of sports, not even just the New York Jets. He is the number one reason why the New York Jets can't win anything. I mean, we keep switching out the coaches, the GMs, the quarterbacks, and somehow it never seems to work. And you have to ask yourself, what is the one piece of the puzzle that has not gotten changed out? It's the ownership. And then you ask yourself, well, are they doing things that could be detrimental for this team? And you're like, 17-year-old kid running the franchise, making decisions. That's probably not good. You look around, females in the locker room while the New York Jets are changing after / before games. That's probably not good. Woody Johnson, our owner, going up to our starting quarterback, Mike White, and telling him, you suck. That's probably not good. Calling out our quarterback for some reason, who everyone knows is playing badly. Everyone's watching Justin Fields. We all know he's playing like garbage. We don't need to go out and be like, oh, you are so bad. It's hard to play offense when you can't complete a pass. Like, dude, horrible owner. The New York Jets got to sell the team, but it's not going to happen. Maybe we get a shot at Joe Burrow. I'm excited to see where these talks go, because this is not the last time that we will be hearing about Joe Burrow to the New York Jets. And I was honestly going to skip this topic when I first saw it, but it's getting so much talk now that I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about Joe Burrow. Why not? But if you stuck around this long in the video, appreciate you taking the time to watch it all the way through. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Jets.